Yeah, yeah.
But even still, like my on the other side of the state, they got hit a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. The pretty good size one, and their infrastructure is just now being rebuilt finally.
Yeah. Hey, Graham.
Hi, everybody.
Doing
Yeah.
good?
You all better now then?
Yeah.
Russ,
Yeah. Back alive. Finally.
right here. Was it COVID or just a flu thing?
It was just a nasty flu.
There's a lot of it about at this time of year, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. It got me good. It was a little bit over a week. Um, but yeah, it was rough, but finally back on it, which is good. So
What happens is the kids all go back to school, spread all the illness to everybody.
yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
After-
I live right around that, but I think he was more likely the 150,000 people that
that-
were at CES and walking about. So
cool.
hey Tim. Let's see. Rick, I'll ask you to unmute. I see your message. I didn't put anything on our end, so I don't know. Hey Alex. Hey Justin.
Howdy.
We're doing a bit of a review over last week's release. We got another one coming out a little bit here in the afternoon. Gonna push some more updates, but wanted to get through these last updates from last week, and then we can do QA and go over some of the stuff that we're working on next. Alrighty, so this was the release that we did middle of last week on Wednesday. So this was the one that included the agent status messages. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, it's basically a first part of the fix in order to help with response times. So if you go into one of your chatbots and then go into appearance, scroll down to the bottom, there's going to be a new section called Enable AI Agent Status Messages. And when you enable it, you can change the text on these different lines to say whatever it is that you want. And when enabled, it will say these status messages in order in time for the response to come in. So this is going to be one of the things that we add before we add in response streaming. So that's going to be one of the next big kind of pushes that we see across a lot of different things. I.e., there's even there was a post this morning that I actually sent to see if I can find it, where it showed one of those new, yeah, here it is. It showed one of those new, that new rabbit device. I think this is it. And it took a long time for it to respond. And a lot of the responses were like, oh, you guys need to add in streaming. And so I was like, oh, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Essentially, instead of it waiting for an entire response to be generated and then push to the user, we can start sending the response immediately to the user right away. And so instead of having to wait a few seconds, the response is more immediate. And I guess the pros and cons to that would be when you've normally used ChatGPT in the past, maybe you'll notice how a response will come in and then it might kind of stutter and then it will continue and then it stops maybe and then it kind of continues. That's the response is being streamed actively in that model. So that's why it kind of shows that stuttering. And so with most systems, ours included as of right now, we basically will wait until that entire response is sent over and then we show it on our end. And so that's why some of you might experience longer delays than others because of that wait time that OpenAI is actually generating the response. So to fix that, we did two things. The first thing was add in this section right here, which I just went over, which is that appearance, and you can add in your agent AI status messages.
And you said that is not out yet.
That is out now, yes. So if you go into appearance and then at the bottom, you can enable it and then customize the messages at the bottom there. And so streaming, what I was just mentioning, that's also in development right now. Some other quick enhancements and updates. So the conversation starters will reappear on refresh. These are just, small little things. Pagination on conversations in QA to help navigate this section a little bit easier. we're gonna continue to improve these areas. So eventually we'll add in a search feature. We'll add in some other filters and toggles to be able to control the conversations a little bit easier. We'll also put in, there was a mention of the ability to add in being able to show lead data right off the bat rather than having to click the toggle. So little minor changes like that we're gonna continue to work on and update. More back-end updates and changes just to make the system a little bit work a bit better on multiple screen sizes. That's always a challenge. And then finally, we're introducing lead and scheduling prompts. And this is something that Tim will talk more about in a sec. Essentially, what we're trying to do is be able to give the functionality and make it ironclad at every level within a conversation and make it work reliably. The way that that works can be kind of difficult when you're trying to put everything into one prompt. And so what we did is we took part of that piece out and put it into a new prompt that is inside each of the two sections for leads and scheduling. So if you go into the leads tab, at the bottom, you'll see this new in-chat lead collection based system prompt. And so this is one of the ways that we're able to have finer control and customization over being able to have the AI bot answer or ask questions first and then do the vice versa rather than it requiring them to ask the question and get the response right away. Tim, you want to pop in?
Exactly. Yeah, well said. And what we're investigating several approaches here because the problem that we have is that ChatGPT.
Your mic's not on your mic.
How about that? Does that help?
There you go.
Get it in front of the face. Yeah. So the problem that we've been having lately is that if you use scheduling with the examples that we have in the marketplace where we verified that it works perfectly most of the time, if not all the time, it's perfect, right? The moment though you start, and the way we're doing it now is those prompts that Ross just showed, they are being injected into the normal base system prompt, right? And that was working well for us, 3 or 4 months ago. But these days, the moment you start trying to add complexity, like, hey, do this as well, or combine this with this and this, or do this in this case, ChatGPT, the longer the conversation goes on, it has a more tendency to start hallucinating, right? And so we've thought of some other approaches that we're currently investigating. Possibly what we may do is pass the user off internally to a sub prompt, and that prompt would the user would not know anything is going on, but what would happen in the actuality is we'd pass it off to a GPT that's like waiting on standby, and all it's focused on is kind of appointment scheduling. Essentially, that's one way you can think of it, right? It's just a GPT ready to go that's knows how to do appointment scheduling. That's all it knows how to do. The moment it's done, it passes that customer back to the main GPT where it takes over. It understands that was successfully done, like a function call. It doesn't know what happened except that it was successfully done and the customer's good now. And then we proceed with the normal, simple experience. That's what we're thinking. We think that can work. We think that can make it much more reliable. But there's also other approaches we're considering, possibly making it more programmatic, which would work every single time regardless. That would be more difficult to do, and the experience would be more like something you're getting through a text message, like press 1 or click more to see more times, something like that. That's a possibility as well. Or we could take a completely different approach and make an interface inside the chat widget that allows the user to easily select a time. And just by providing an interface, it simplifies and allows the user to try to pick things that are very difficult to do with just a chat. So that's our options. And ultimately, we're going to investigate them and also take feedback from you guys and try to figure out what the best approach is going forward.
So, and it sounds maybe a little scarier and more difficult than it actually is. So it still would look exactly like this or like this. So in this example where we have the business information, the data that we want to collect from the user, the calendar availability is all connected to the AI agent. The user and the AI agent are the only two kind of things that are interacting with each other. The AI agent is the one that's interacting with all these other fields or all these other data points. And
Yeah.
so what we mean is, instead of right now where all of this stuff is in one single prompt, we're talking about just when they want to schedule a meeting, that then pushes them off to this prompt right here, which would basically
Yep.
just walk them through the process of scheduling a meeting. So to the user, it still is going to be this flow. The things that Tim was mentioning, what we're playing around with the ideas of investigating and doing R&D on how all the other platforms are doing scheduling, if they are even able to do it at all. And there's a lot of different ways that can be done, whether we're talking about inside a website chat widget where we have full control to render different visuals like buttons or things like of that nature to make it easier for the customer to actually book that meeting, or to keep it completely text-based, so that way it works within the API to push that text through any other existing channel. And what we're trying to do is make it work for, the common majority of all of our agencies. So hopefully that's not too confusing. What we're doing is
input to this.
Sorry.
Can we add our input to this, or let me know when you want?
Yes, please.
I find that the one of the differentiators of this is the conversational ability to negotiate a meeting, and it's worth fighting for, because what I'm selling is that this is conversational. The minute we start to get into being like just any other chat bot, like mechanical, you break that alliance with the. I'm not saying it can't happen, or maybe there shouldn't be a safety to say, would you like to, exit and do it this way? But I'm willing to fight and experiment with you to make this work, because I think it is one of the pieces of magic that says, oh, could I do it next Thursday? It really to me, it was one of those things that went, aha, and I think, anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it.
That's great to know. Does anyone else feel similar?
Yeah,
We
for
got
sure.
you
I
there.
think the conversational part is huge in this, and yeah, I fully agree.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly why we hold these office hours, to be honest, is really to gather feedback. Well, I think, and we didn't mention. Oh, go ahead,
I think
please.
you're going to be successful with this method, by the way, because
I think so.
We've been playing with it a lot, and it just forgets, and that's it gets cluttered. We worked with you guys and just changed the position of the prompt. Everything came back.
Agreed. Yeah, and so we're going to be investigating this sub prompting or whatever the proper term is. Another solution that we didn't mention is GPT 4.5 or 5, whatever the iteration will be. That may have functionalities that just enable a lot of this, but we don't want to wait till that. We don't have any information about when that's coming out, and it'd be nice to use the cheapest model to get this done. So we'll keep you guys informed.
We want to maintain this, like these graphs basically, and that like just mimicking what Jim was saying. Like this is almost, as important to us as it is to you. So it's great to hear that we're all aligned in that regard.
Yeah, it's good to know that the conversational aspect is so important.
We got our first client. We blew him away.
That's awesome.
I need to figure out how to get in front of more clients like that. We walked them through it as a conversation, and it answered a question intelligently. And we asked, and I'd never done this a demo. We took his question, we just typed it in, and he signed yesterday.
Wow.
Right on.
That's
awesome.
Incredible.
Great to hear.
Well, yeah. So we'll try the sub prompting, and we're going to be doing prototypes of it, and we'll let you guys know how that goes. But I'm positive, or I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question real quick.
Yeah.
So if the bot has API to your calendar, like Google Calendars, and it knows what hours you want to be available, isn't it just able to tap that API and schedule the meeting?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Now, the difficult part seems to be to tell it how to, because what we do essentially is we provide functions to it. If you're familiar with programming, we literally provide functions to it, and OpenAI added that possibility to add functions. So we tell it, hey, here's these functions. Yeah, there's one there. Get available times. And it should every time use that to do it. But occasionally what happens is it just seems to forget to use it, or it sees something else in the prompt that the customer said that it interprets as availability. Or in one weird example that we had, it decided that because someone had mentioned office hours, that those were the office hours. Regardless, it doesn't always consistently do it when you start to add weird stuff into the prompt. And we're hoping that by getting all that weird stuff out of the prompt and just having it focus entirely on scheduling, that'll be 99% reliable.
Can you scroll all the way to the top of that? So right above how to, in the prompt, so right above how to schedule an appointment, can you put important in caps?
Yep, you can.
I'm finding that really helps.
So that's a way that you could modify this. I think what Tim and I want to make clear is like, this is the section and how you can play around with this. And it has worked really well with the ones that Tim has added to the marketplace. When you start kind of messing with it and changing things and adding things in other places, that's where it doesn't tend to work as well. So what we're trying to do is make it so that way that it does work even better. And, as with everything else in our platform, just make it work better.
Yeah. It just in terms of those things, because some of these are, and I'm saying you're probably correct. Some of these are folkwisms, some of them are workable,
Mhm.
and I don't. And maybe as a group, we should try and get a collection of the things that work well with this and share those, because everybody's got a different prompting style, and I'm going through 65 different things to try and get ChatGPT to actually start working again.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse and worse and worse. So
I agree. Yeah.
One of the things that we'll do shortly is open up the marketplace to agencies, so that way we can start all sharing with each other. And that will probably be only opened to paid SaaS, paid users. We're not going to just like open that up to the masses, basically.
You mean to put bots in there?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Prompt library. Exactly. Yeah. That should help kind of kickstart this process of sharing how people, how that prompt styling can be different, but also work better than other ways.
So in the marketplace, you're going to have bots you can share, but also prompts, or is the prompts in the bots?
Prompts are in the bots.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so then the last little thing on this one is some of those upcoming features. So you might have noticed that we've added a new integrations tab over here with a few coming soon items. Facebook Messenger is completely done, and we're in internal testing right now for this one. So this one will probably be in the next one, not this, we're doing a release later today. It won't be in that one, but within the next couple, this one will be out, and this will be a feature that we're only going to be exposing to paid users. So this will be handed out to everybody first, I guess, here, and then we don't really have an intention of pushing this to free users, because for those of who know how dealing with Facebook support is with clients is that's something I only want to deal with paid users, to be honest.
There's an oxymoron. Facebook support. I hadn't heard that one in a while.
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Yeah. So Facebook will be out first, then Instagram, and then we'll be doing WhatsApp, and then we'll probably kind of tally the temperature of the room and see where everyone's at, and go from there. Other things, we've got some more graphs. I've also updated more items in the full agency SaaS resource guides. I've added the content machine, which is basically the Notion board that you can duplicate into your account. This is how I create and manage my content flow for marketing. So when I come up with an idea for a video, I'll write it here. I'll write out what I want, and then I'll move it in the process, and I can just show you what mine kind of looks like. So here are some of my videos that I'm working on right now. And then as I work them through the process, I just organize this. And then if I have editors or different people that I need to review it at different processes, then they know to come in when it reaches their column. So that's there for you for free. And then a whole prompt engineering guide. So this is, we started tallying up kind of how everybody in general is doing prompt engineering. So again, kind of that idea that Jim brought up. So this is how OpenAI is doing it, how Anthropic is doing it. Some of the guides that other people have put together that are relatively pretty good, that OpenAI themselves have put as their related resources. I just found out that they have this whole thing called Cookbook the other day. And there's tons and tons of resources in here about prompt engineering, how to write prompts, all this good stuff. So I put that all into one place in Notion, and it's in that agency SaaS resources guide. And then finally, all the infographics. And I tried to remove, I looked and I removed as many stammers as I possibly could. So it should just say AI platform in lieu of the name. And then at some point I'll work on getting a Miro link that you guys can duplicate and then rebrand them as well.
Cool. Appreciate that.
So those
You were
are all
productive when you were ill.
I was trying to do something. You can only watch so many, TV shows, right? Tim, do you have any other things you want us to go over?
I thought there was something else that we wanted to cover, but as bad as it sounds, I can't remember right now. Oh well, maybe we'll think about it. But yeah, nothing else right now. We had, some minor things that we're getting out as far as Stripe. We realized that there was a point in the Stripe flow when you connect an account that it can be helpful or not helpful, it can be essential to define a country. And we didn't realize the Stripe terminology is weird when you go to connect. It makes it seem like you can change the country within their UI, but we found out by talking to Stripe support, that was not the case at all. So we built that, we got that out. There's a few other things that'll be going to go out later today. We'll be having a release notes on that, so we'll put that out. But yeah.
Also the GHL snapshot has automations for like everything now, templates in there for the automation, so you can see exactly how those are built and how the API key looks or how all that stuff looks. That's all in there. The landing pages now are in there as well, and all the emails as well. So theoretically, you could just copy that and then change the name, and then you're good to go.
So do we have to update the GHL snapshot, or was it already been updated?
It should auto have been updated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. So I guess we can just go general Q. Thursday, I will be hosting an agency call this Thursday. It will be about, not sure yet, actually, probably about content creation, because that's what I'm getting back into right now. So that's what's on my top of mind. How do we get more of these good clients that will just wham, sign up right away? I think it's a lot about how to get the user to that aha moment as quickly as possible, and then slam them with an offer that they can't refuse, basically. And how do we create content that will attract those type of people for our specific niche within our agency?
That's something I'm really pushing on to differentiate and get people to pay attention. I don't know what everybody else's country where you're from and what, but if you mention chatbot, people go to sleep, and they've got it, or they've got one, or they've done that, or whatever. And so finding, like I said, we were able to get, because we knew this client, we were able to do the usual, and he knew what we were doing. We're going to show you this because we think, sort of thing. And he even laughed at me when I said that. I'm not trying to sell you anything. So, I was trying to, I really was, I would have been as happy walking away from that meeting if he told me why he wouldn't buy. No, sorry, that's a lie. I'm happier that he bought, but I would have been happy walking away knowing what the reluctance was and what it took to crack that. Mm-hmm. Because we're trying to work on content messages right now to fit ads. That's what I'm just pushing like mad to, because you got a very short piece to get that that message across, and that's something I'm working furiously on to get. How can you put that into one simple ad?
So yeah, I've heard we're not selling the chatbots, we're selling the results. So the pain. So find out what your clients want or need or have to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a tough line. Like Tim and I were talking about this earlier. Like it's so tough to try to explain the advantages, but also sell the end results, how we're solving the problem, because that's how, people are emotional and that's how they typically buy in this SMB market. It's a fine line. We're working on some comparison graphs right now. So it's more of like, here's what you might be familiar with, and here's why our offering is better. And literally doing like this is what they don't do, and this is what we do.
Yeah.
And that also kind of encroaches on support. And one of the things I've mentioned to a lot of people has been like, how much of that second S in SaaS are you focusing on service? If you're focusing, if there's a large emphasis on that piece, then that allows you to justify a higher price point, a different type of offering, based off of that type of interaction and support. So that could be something to focus on as well to help differentiate.
Yeah, we're taking the approach right now that you don't need a chatbot, you need an AI expert.
Okay,
And that's
nice.
That's what we're branding it as for us. And people are, you need an AI expert.
Or agent, eh?
Sorry?
Or an AI agent also go.
Oh yeah, no,
with
you
it.
could call it whatever you think your customer language will accept, but it's making that's what I mean about the ad thing, making that differentiation between what was there and what's possible. And doing that with the fact that there's an implication to that. Sorry, I coach sales.
No, that's great.
Wish I was as good at doing it as I am at coaching it some days. But that's you've got to pack that implication, because with SMBs, if there's no return, they don't feel that return, and they're not going to do anything. If they have no problem, you can sell an enterprise on stuff that they maybe not even need, and it's harder these days. But you can't sell an SMB these days on something they don't feel that they're going to get an immediate return on, or that's going to solve it.
So one of the items that we've been talking about and is more kind of in our focus is how can we make so last week we talked about a lot of the updates that we're going to be adding to make it easier for people to have users sign up, have the aha moment, and then check out in a seamless process, more seamless than it is now. I think one of the things that now that we have an idea of how that could be better done, one of the other ideas is now how do we attract more people to go through that process? And so the dashboard being a marketable feature in and of itself is an interesting idea. So we've been looking at some other competitors and how they do analytics and how GHL does analytics and how a lot of people will showcase that front dashboard of like, oh, I have 300K in my pipeline, or whatever. And it's like, that's a marketable thing because as a user or as an admin, I could, I could film my screen and be like, this is how many things we have. Look at us, blah, blah, blah. Is that of interest to you guys? Do you have any ideas of certain metrics or analytics that would be cool for that? Am I making sense?
People like to look at graphs. I'll give some thought to a couple of ideas in there, but just using better use of color.
Okay.
You guys are going for flat. And I sent you one of the examples, like when people first encounter the bot, I sent you a couple of examples from HubSpot, I think. You can see there's a color mix in there. You're staying flat and it's utilitarian, but it doesn't pop. And you need a little bit of pop in it. And maybe even just, you don't need a ton of graphs, but just something that's visually appealing. Because I'll still go back to you. The success of this is going to be, in my mind, is going to be that first encounter, and and it's got to exude human and conversation, and that's why I keep going back to saying, give me something that I can start to customize that first encounter with. A little balloon. Sorry, it just said I'm a chatbot, and that's your first 3 seconds. That's your UI moment is bang, I'm different. And and that's I honestly I'd spend my time there before I'd spend my money on the back end, but making the back end look a little bit. And if you guys want, like, I'll give you one of my data guys to show you some of the dashboards we use. They just just a couple of these graphs, and people like them even if they don't know what they say.
That's exactly what I mean.
But they make you visually relax.
Exactly what I mean. Yes.
That's okay. The first encounter with this, and I'll just keep harping on that. I'll be here a year from now trying to get you guys to think about this. But it's that first encounter has to say, I'm a human and I will converse with you. And not that I'm a human, but that I can have a conversation with you. I'm not the regular stuff you're used to. And that's the first piece. And that, because that's my success, I think, is going to be, or our success is going to be, if people actually start using this thing. And I don't care. I'm prepared for 5% usage. I don't care. Like, if I can just I got one customer that we've installed this for. The first person hit the bot, actually clicked on it and asked something, and they were a customer that had disappeared off the radar. And so the salesperson I'm going to work that story till the day I die. But that's what I mean about those first encounter stories are going to be the ones that'll make us marketing, that'll give us marketing.
Okay. So just to kind of drill into that, a visual update or representation of that could be maybe multiple first messages, or how do you see that visually playing out?
I personally, I think there should be a personification in there. I think it's worth doing the art to make sure you can get a personification in there. I think you need a little color, so everybody goes to blue. You need a little color piece in there just to draw your attention to it. So your first encounter is there, and I think from a design point of view, is that anything it talks about should look above its head, like it's a thought, like we're used to comic books. We're used to seeing where the speech goes when people are talking, and that reinforces in your mind. That's my thought, is that reinforces in your mind, this is actually talking to me.
Okay. What if we added a little bobble, like a little head icon next to the bot message?
Yeah. I think those are the types of things to experiment with, and be able to, like, if you create the ability to have that there, then we can test images to see which ones work.
Okay.
But it's having that first encounter. Like I said, color. I sent you the HubSpot one. They get just a little bit of orange that just pops because nobody uses it. No matter where you are, nobody's using that color palette, and it pops out and says, "Wow." So there's the little things in there, but it draws your attention to it because everybody's got that, everybody's got that blue thing at the bottom of the screen, and I don't care what you change it to color wise. Even it's still that thing at the bottom of the screen. It's not offering me help.
Got it. Tim, any thoughts on all that?
No. I mean, it makes complete sense. And we already have a ticket open for customizing some of these items within the dashboard. We're working on that. And then what you mentioned here, like I said in the chat, number of conversations, leads booked, the value prop we'll have to figure out. Number of visits makes complete sense, right? You want to see how many visits are occurring to your chatbot. Over time, probably more advanced analytics, because we certainly could provide that as far as, where is this user located, stuff like that. But I think we'll start with now for those things you mentioned, and it should be relatively easy, right? I'll say that in quotes, famous last words, but relatively easy to add those items and put them in the dashboard. We just hadn't focused on it because we were trying to, get the bare functionality working first.
If they can be visual, even better, rather than just numbers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We know now that it's just literally just numbers. And in fact, even with the listing where you see all your chatbots, it's just numbers, but we're not designers, and we're going to add but we'll get it visual to where it's more pretty, for lack of a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
If you guys have any feedback, feel free. Like, we are not designers. We will, get one on the team eventually, but yeah, if you have any feedback on design issues, certainly let us know.
We'll share some of the stuff from our own dashboard so you can take a look at it, because we've got some we don't mind sharing in there. But I admire your discipline, by the way. Like, as much as I'm pushing this thing, one of the reasons we selected you guys to partner with was your discipline of, if this thing don't work because we run off in 50 million directions, I'd rather have 8 things that really work than 80 that are I'm apologizing for. You know.
Agreed completely. And that has been a lot of our philosophy, which I don't know if you've heard of the Linux philosophy, but essentially it is to build tools that do a single thing and do it well. And of course, we're not following that to the T, right? This does do multiple things than just one. But overall, we are trying to get core functionality working, have it work amazingly, rather than go off and build features for every single possible thing that, you know, that we could do and only have customers use 10% of them.
Yeah.
And you guys follow Wes Roth?
That-
Sounds familiar.
Wes
Who
Roth,
is-
ROTH.
Yeah, he wrote the product onboarding book, I think, right?
Did he?
Um,
Oh, it's Wes
I don't-
Bush.
Wes
Or-
Roth is on YouTube, and I think he's brilliant. Last night I was watching a video about agentic agents that are the future, and that
Mhm.
exactly what Tim was saying about something that can do something without supervision and not have to be checked up on. That's when we're really going to get closer to AGI.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that would be amazing.
Rick, can you put the name in the chat?
It's Wes Roth.
Yep.
Wes Roth.
Check him out. Yeah, YouTube is just a cesspool now, like with the AI generated content. I'm going to do a series on just for, because I'm also a publisher. Like I run a publishing company. I'm going to do a series on the best of YouTube, just to focus on the guys that it takes me so long to find. It's just,
Yeah.
there's just so many AI generated voices, and they just make me crazy.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, even in the technical space related to AI, there are so many people just pushing incredible hype. It blows my mind.
Well, and that's one way to differentiate yourself in the you know, in the seas of AI generated content and faceless AI videos. Being a real person on a camera is gonna like be one of the, I think, best things to do long term. Start it, like, you know, if you haven't started now, like, you know.
If only I didn't have a face for radio.
I don't
Oh,
think it
come on.
matters. I think it's an advantage in many ways because I don't know, people, even for my ridiculous content that is like product focused, people respond to it. And even though I don't get as many likes, obviously, because I mainly post on Twitter and LinkedIn, and even though I don't get as many likes as someone like Ross yet, it's funny because I'll post something and I'll get angry texts, you know, from my friends who are product manager. Oh, we don't code, blah, blah, blah. But so I know they're seeing it. And it's amazing how many people will see something even they don't like it and interact with it.
Yeah, you can have lots. You can have it's the interaction that matters. I keep telling people when I first started my tech company, we got 5 people to our first webinar, but one of them bought. I've been to webinars where I've had 100 people and nobody bought anything. I'd go back to the 5 in a flash.
All right, so guys, I was wrong. It wasn't Wes Roth. I like him as well, but it's David Shapiro.
Oh, David Shapiro, yeah, he's cool.
And I'm going to put his link to that video I watched last night in the chat
Please.
because that was awesome. That was
See the guy
awesome.
who wears the Star Trek uniform? Is that Shapiro?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're worried about the face for a radio. That dude's in a Star Trek uniform.
Yeah,
And he tried to change it.
That's the dude who convinced me I could actually go back to doing video.
He tried to change it, and
Oh my
everyone
God.
bitched and complained and said, "No, you got to wear that uniform. That's why we watch you."
So that's like his gimmick, wearing the uniform?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
amazing.
like a really old Wesley Crusher.
He's like literally where,
Ross, you need to wear that unicorn. What was that? A zebra outfit?
oh my God, that's
Oh, there
actually
you
great.
go. There you go. I was just going to send you a screenshot of that.
Yeah,
That's great.
got my mic. I got the mic. He's
But that guy,
I've got it
that guy
too.
is technical, and it really makes your mind work. So you're like, what the hell is he talking about? And he's talking so well about it, so well versed that you have to look it up. And I think, you know, he backs everything up. He says, you know, this is what Microsoft dude was talking about.
yeah. I'm gonna
Wow.
get him a podcast for sure because
Is he on
he's-
Twitter also?
I'm sure these guys are
Okay.
all Twitter and
I will
I
start looking
yeah, I
at his
should
content.
try to get him on a podcast.
Heck yeah.
He's brilliant.
Can I ask on the talking about videos, in the last week, I think we spoke about onboarding and being able to put like how-to videos inside the dashboard. So if we had, because I've had some people do walkthroughs of setting up free trials and seeing and then recording what they're doing, where they get stuck, where they don't get stuck, which bits confuse them. And one of the biggest barriers is that they're on their own, basically. So they're trying to sort of onboard with limited knowledge. And yeah, we might have a blog article that gives them like a step guide as to what they do. But people like to go in and play. So if there was a video that could sit within the documentation area or in the on the dashboard as like that open, watch this first, watch me first kind of thing. And it's me because it's my dashboard, my agency dashboard, and I've then personalized that experience so they know who to reach out to. I think that would be cool. And what we're also finding as well is that all the new features are fantastic. So like that initial messages, the conversation starters, and now these the agent status message, which is fantastic, by the way. They're all getting lost in different parts of the dashboard now. So my recommendation probably would be that you have a features tab. So you have like your step 1. This is where you go to give it a name and you play with the base prompt. And because at the moment the base prompt always comes in, it's always called Stam. So we need to find a way to sort of maybe give it a bit more generalization there, and to encourage people to change that name in that base prompt. So that's like step 1. Step 2 is like, what do you do next, which is how do you train it and the content. And maybe the step 3 is then how do you enhance the experience of the bot. So, do you put an initial question in? Do you put a conversation starter in? Do you put these status messages in? And then go and play with the design. And then you've got your chatbot finished. So there's like a logical flow as to what to do. And it's all there right now, but for someone who's coming into it brand new as Jim was saying, on a flat dashboard, it's like, shit, where do I go? Do I go here for this and that for this? And I do a bit this over here, and then I go and train it over here. So I think if you're doing a dashboard enhancement, it would be cool to sort of think about that UX of how they go through that onboarding process initially. Once they're into it and they've used it a few times, then they're probably only going to one or two places. They're going to the leads, they're going to scheduling, they're going to the conversation analysis, and maybe going back and doing a bit more training.
Okay. Yep. I'm just thinking, like, would a simplified version of the bot creation process, like in my head, I'm thinking like a little modal pops up and it's like, what's the name? Enter your website. What color do you want it? And then it's like those 3 base, it's not all the other things. It's just like the very basics of getting someone to that point of playing around with it.
Yeah.
That's like a version 1. A version 2 could maybe be a product tour that's customized to you, that is, that highlights like, this is where you add in the thing, and then next, and then it brings you to the next page and it skips like everything else below. Or just, like you said, putting a video there that could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, putting a video there should be very easy because we do that now for you guys, and we could just have a URL and get that out quick. So show a video, like an intro video. We do have a product tour. Many of you probably haven't seen it because it was added later. And that product tour shouldn't reference Stammer in any way. We'll double check, but we can also make that as something you can enable as well, so that when your customers log in, they go through the product tour and it guides them. That's what the product tour is. I've just been saying that word, but it guides them like, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then they know how to create a bot, basically. So we can enable those. I've just opened tickets for that, so we can do that.
Do all chatbots have to look the same? Because right now they do, and it's boring.
That's an
Like
interesting...
in the dashboard?
No, the box on the website, or I put a picture up in, because who was speaking? Graham was talking, and just the way, or no, the other gentleman, Jim, was talking about hey, if
Oh.
you look at someone's face and it's above them, that's the way people's minds are trained to think. And so do you guys see the picture I put on the
Yep.
chat?
It's like a kid's drawing looking thing.
And that's just me playing with the software I have, Sketch. Wow.
No, but I see what you're doing. I didn't mean that as like a, it's for children or anything, but it makes complete sense. Maybe a different.
Yeah, no, that's the type of break design that you can do to sort of like I said, it's unexpected. It makes you relax. If you feel good when you look at it, that's what's going to count.
Yeah,
That is
we
really
could
interesting.
just redesign the whole thing. It'll be different, and that'll be nice, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Quite interesting. Yeah, because they're all we all have this preconceived idea of perceived idea of what a chatbot's going to look like, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's we'll do some more R&D on that. Please, if you guys have more examples, we'll look into that HubSpot one. But if you have more examples of ideas around this, please send them through the Discord so that way we have some visuals to work off. Because I know when we're gonna have to build some concrete examples for our devs to make this. Yeah.
On a slightly different subject, what is the mechanics if you send a text from GHL, right? As in missed call text back style thing. So it sends a text to the chatbot because the chatbot's connected to GHL. Does that then send a text back, or is that then into the bot?
So the optimal way to do that scenario or use case would have GHL is sending it. So the trigger missed call comes into GHL. The first action is going to be sending a text message to that user saying, hey, we just missed your call. Would you like to schedule an appointment, for example? Then when they respond, that's another automation. And then now that's the automation that the AI chatbot is connected to. So the trigger is they respond, reply channel SMS, and then everything else is like normal. Send it to Stammer, get the response, send the Stammer response back to the user.
And is that a text reply, or is that now in the bot?
That would now be a text SMS reply because the trigger is coming from the reply channel of SMS. Another thing that I would think about putting in there is in automation number 1, where it's sending the missed call text back. I would put I would add a contact tag that says missed call text back flow or something. And that would signify to automation number 2 that this is specifically for missed call text back and just reschedule a meeting, nothing else. And that makes it so that way that bot will act just for that scenario.
Okay, cool.
And it's also good for that bot to then have an example conversation of that interaction. So the first message in the bot would be the initial text message that you're sending to the user in automation number 1.
I'll sit and try and draw that out. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let me write that down. That'll be a good tutorial to make.
And in principle, that would work the same if that was a database reactivation as well, would it?
Exactly, because that first message is coming from, that's the static message that has to be sent to the user for them to respond to then have the AI take over. Because the AI can only respond. I'll do a reactivation one too.
Because that's one of its big selling points. Previously, you did it with a human, and now you don't need a human in that equation, which is massive.
Huge. Yeah, and this also mimics that the ad example that I've been working on to put into the webinar, one of our webinar tutorials. And it's basically that flow, but after somebody opts into an ad. So if you're a local service business and you're trying to generate those leads, having that conversation followed up and taken over by the AI rather than you or somebody else or a VA, like that saves so much time and hassle rather than having to just manually text people back when you have a new lead. Other items, I think, just to end out today's call that we're going to be pushing in one of the next releases is login page customization, finally, and further dashboard customization. So the change of being able to like make the colors of the dashboard different, in addition to the login page looking completely custom. We're thinking about basically just allowing you to add in like an image or an HTML section, so that way you could put in kind of anything. Yeah, super excited about that.
And thanks again for the timing piece. Whoever thought that up, give him a bonus. That when you're waiting and it actually goes back to you and says, hey, you can put 3 messages up to while you're waiting. Whoever got that is fantastic.
I think that was Ross.
I'll take credit
I can't
for that
remember.
Yeah.
It was perfect. We were sweating about doing this demo because we kept getting stalls, and it feels like forever. Now I'm trained to talk. Well, I can distract people, but the guy I've got working, like I've got mostly technical people working for me, and they stop and wait for the answer. And I'm going, no, talk about their kid, like fill that time. But when you see messages come up say, hey, I'm looking. It just works perfectly. So thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad that people are liking it as much as it was easy for us to develop without having to spend a week of. Our dev basically came back and was like, yeah, it'll take me 2 hours to make this and about a week and a half to do streaming. Like, do that one first.
You didn't know you needed it that badly.
Exactly.
It'll take a week, Captain.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then were other things that this was another thing that I hope might help as well. Just kind of helping explain, where all that time actually takes, and it's where this is, where that response is actually being generated. So this is in that Notion board as well for you guys to download. Cool. Any last questions before we end?
Can I schedule a call with you to talk about Salesforce?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just want to know what the best approach is, because 2 quite sizable clients now have come on and said they don't use GHL, they use Pardo and Salesforce, and they want to do the hookup there. And we just want to know what the best recommendation is. Either try the webhook or they go down the API route. And if we could just give them like a how-to guide, we can give that directly to the tech team and they can just get on with it and do it.
Okay, sounds good. And then Ross, since you're more familiar with Zapier and some of the automation platforms, do you want to join as well? And we can just.
Yeah. Would we be able to kind of get a visual? Because I think that's what we need, just how their system kind of works for us to then figure out how and if ours needs to adapt. Because it should, quote unquote, should just work with webhooks.
They run a Drupal website right now, and they have web forms on there, which are part of web forms. So it's pushing that information directly into that platform. So I've explained it to them that the chatbot effectively is just a dynamic form, which is powered by AI and it's conversational. So you're still getting packets of information you want to push over to the CRM. So
and they just want the results of the lead generation, right? Like the lead generation webhook results.
Yeah, so they need a customer name, the time they made the inquiry, their email address, whatever's being captured in those lead elements.
Got it.
Maybe the conversation. So the conversation packet can be sent over as well. So they've got context when a sales agent gets on the call with that particular client.
Yeah, and I think Ross has a good point. I think we need additional information of what Pardo, which I guess is SFTC or whatever they're calling it these days, in the background. We just need to know what it can accept. What ways does it have to get data into its system? And then from there, we can certainly, help you form a plan to how to present that to the customer to be automated. Because what I was thinking earlier today is, if they have some type of developer available, it should be easy enough. And I don't mean like a programmer, but someone who knows how to set up these automations. It should be easy enough for them to set it up, because we have both an API, we have a Zapier.
It should work with Zapier.
White label.
I'm doing a cursory search here, and it looks like we'll be able to do it for sure with Zapier and a webhook.
Well, yeah, because it would accept the incoming webhook, and then you format it as whatever that other system can accept. If it can accept a webhook, it can just take it directly from our system. If it has an API, it needs to be able to connect to Zapier or make a request, like an HTTP request. We just need to know what it can do, I think.
Yeah.
I have visuals of the workflow already. They've sent that over, but in terms of the technical stuff, I'll request that tomorrow.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, send that stuff to us and we'll take a look.
Cool. Okay, guys.
Perfect.
Well,
Awesome.
I'll look forward to seeing you again.
Yep. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Talk to you all later.
See you. Take care. Bye bye.